Welcome to GamePoints episode 184, your weekly get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David, we go over these Red Dead Redemption 2 DLC rumors and why I think they are probably bullshit. We have Dino Crisis getting a fan remake because Capcom won't do it themselves and why they'll probably get cease and desist into oblivion. And we're also going to talk about how well Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is doing and more.
Ooh, more. That's my favorite part.
Yes. GamePoints, of course, is an audience interactive podcast, so if you're watching live at twitchtv.com/GamePoints or youtube.com/GamePointsPC, feel free to interact. Of course, if you're here live, you can do it live. If you're at YouTube, feel free to post comment down below with your thoughts, feelings, concerns, questions, comments, etc. Don't be afraid to get involved with the show. David.
Yes.
I played a lot of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 over the weekend. Well, not a lot, a couple hours of it. Now, we're going to get into sales figures, and we're not figures, but sales ideas for it later on the show. But I did want to go ahead and mention out the gate, I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How much does it feel like the old games?
Pretty close. I have some major issues with the camera work, because sometimes it gets way too in-depth on it. Like, way too close, rather, I should say. But the game itself definitely feels like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game. So far, I've done like the first, I don't know what you would call it, chapter. I don't want to get into spoilers on it or anything like that because part of the fun for me with multiple Ultimate Alliance games, we're always wondering who is going to show up next, be it a villain or a hero, because they dug deep into the lore, and they seem to be doing that now with this one too. But it definitely feels faithful.
Okay, cool. How's it look? Does it look better than Xbox 360?
Yeah, I mean, it looks fine, right? It's passable. Marvel Ultimate Alliance was never a looker to begin with, even when it first released, and it does, for a $60 game, it does look a little but the art style makes up for it. I'm fine with the art style, and they're definitely going to the more zanier comic side rather than the serious. Comics have gotten very serious over the past 10 years at the Marvel Ultimate Universe because they're trying to... The MCU, while still funny and lighthearted in many retrospects, has a lot of dark moments to it. This is definitely not that. This is the far more comedic, laugh, weird stuff going on. Every time a character or villain's introduced, they kind of do the Borderlands introduction, where the camera like stops and you see their name and has some witty quip underneath there. Same idea here. I don't know if that works, but that's what we got.
More like 80s era superhero cartoon than 80s era Tim Burton Batman movie.
Yeah, that's a good comparison right there. So I have been playing that. I can definitely recommend it, and it is surprising how much fun I've been having with it.
Sweet. I haven't been playing anything.
Fair enough. Real. Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough. I can tell you're very sunburned.
I'm just, I was outside. It's dangerous for me to be outside, and I did that for far too long this weekend.
David,
to my own dismay.
News this week is a bit shy because Comic-Con's been going on. That's kind of sucked all the oxygen out of the room.
That's true. There's a whole bunch of upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe teases. Kevin Smith's making a sequel to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
That actually looks really cool. The Jay and Silent Bob reboot or whatever the hell they're calling it. I was actually laughing during that trailer.
But we're not a comic book show.
No.
And we're not a... We're not just a nerd culture show. We just talk about video games.
There is something adjacent to all of this that they showed off at Comic-Con.
Which is funny because while we're going to talk about it, because it's game adjacent, it's not directly based on a game.
No.
That's why it's extra
It's based
funny.
on something a game is based off of. And that, of course, is the Netflix Witcher TV series.
Yep. Which Henry Cavill managed to land, beating out 200-something other actors for the part, which is fucking ridiculous.
I didn't know they had that big of a casting call.
207 was the final tally of actors.
Any other famous names besides Henry Cavill being in there?
I probably a bunch, but I haven't found the full list. Okay. I've just found the report that there was 207.
Fair enough. So this Witcher trailer dropped. Have you seen it?
I have. A couple times, actually.
A couple times. Okay. What do you think?
Well, I watched it first, like, just to get an initial impression of it, and then I actually sat down and watched it, like, with headphones on, and it turned up to, like, try and get more immersed, because the first time I watched it was on my phone, and that barely counts.
Fair enough.
I think Cavill looks great, actually. he's got a pretty good look for the character, and I know he's a fan of both the book series and the game, so that's pretty fun.
It's always good when your lead actor knows the source material.
Yep, that helps. But it looks, I don't know if this is insulting or not, and I don't mean it to be, but it just looks very Game of Thronesy to me.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It feels like they're trying to copy it almost.
It feels like an answer to another show as opposed to its own original idea of a show.
I absolutely understand what you mean.
Guess what? We're a show based on a hit book series that's a little fantasy-esque and a little
Did you like Game of Thrones? You're sure going to love Netflix's The Witcher.
Yeah, and then the font at the end. I have this weird thing where I get mad at fonts sometimes. But when it actually says The Witcher on screen, I was like, what the fuck is this? This looks so bad. Is that the cover of the original book? Because I don't like it.
Fair enough.
That's a stupid complaint, but it is a complaint, and I'm making it. I want them to change that font for the final title screen when that show comes out. It's ridiculous.
So I watched it. I watched the trailer as well. My thoughts on it are, it might not suck. That's kind of the extent of my feelings on it right now. I want to sit down and watch the first episode, see how it goes. I'm just so jaded when it comes to any kind of a video game adaptation. And yes, this is based off the books, not the games. But I am familiar. Good.
They actually said specifically they will not be covering any of the game content because the games exist outside of the books.
Kind of. The games are like here's the thing. The games are kind of like a sequel to the books almost.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the games are, I think, canon, but the events are separate. And they've stated specifically that like the game events won't take place in the show. It's strictly novel based.
And I'm fine with that, but you still have that disconnect because most people are going to be familiar not with the books but with the game. So there's going to be some disconnect with the way people look. For example, I'm completely fine with Harry Cavill. Is that his name?
Henry
Cavill as Geralt. He looks the role. I think that works well. I like who they got to play Yennefer. I think she looks the role. Everyone else seems weird to me. Like, whoever they got to play Triss doesn't look right. Whoever they got to play Ciri doesn't look right. There's something off about the rest of the casting to this, and I can't place my finger on it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think it's because they so dramatically changed from the characters that I'm used to seeing in the video games. Now, once again, we need to say, this isn't based off the video games. But guess what most people's familiarity with the series is from?
Well, see, and even that's troubling because most people that watch this show specifically, like ours, not Witcher, would be more familiar with the game of all things. But as far as I know, that book series is actually really fucking popular, and I'm willing to bet there's a shit ton of people that are familiar with that source material and don't play video games.
I almost want to say that when Poland gave like a gift basket to President Obama when he was in office, part of that gift basket included not only copies of the Witcher game, but the actual book series as well. It is like a national icon. It is huge how big that series is in certain parts of the world. But once again, they're not but they're not making a Netflix series for those parts of the world. They're making a Netflix series for an American audience. And most of America, I don't have any stats to back this up, but I would imagine most people who would be tuning in to the Netflix Witcher would be tuning in not because they're fans of the book, but because they're fans of the game.
Yeah, and that seems fair. That a lot of people that are being marketed this right now are people that played video games, and that's what they're mostly here for. Because keep in mind, the first book came out in like the early to mid 90s.
It's been a while. The first book came out. We can look this up real quick. That's not too much of a problem.
92.
92. So it's 30 years old at this point. 25 years old.
Which,
92, 93.
That works. Sometimes old things show up and they're rad. But yeah, I see what you're saying, that they're kind of pitching it toward fans of a video game, and there's a bunch of people that probably cosplay from the video game and think of it in terms of the video game that didn't read the books. And the people that did read the books have been waiting 30 years for this shit.
Ultimately, I think that's still just a small quibble. If the cast nails it, like I said, just at first glance, besides Geralt and Yennefer, who I think look the part, everyone else does not look the part. But the show could come out and they could be cool. I'm not going to completely dismiss it based on that alone. I'm just nitpicking what I felt out the gate was weird about it. Also, one thing that I'm a little bothered by, and it goes back to the Game of Thrones conversation. They're playing up like the political aspect of it, but from what I know about Geralt, he stayed out of that shit. He went to great lengths to stay out of all that shit. He's a fucking
mercenary that kills monsters for a living. Like,
exactly.
He is a professional monster hunter.
And there was a surprisingly few
not a lot
monsters of a trailer. Like, you saw that thing coming out of the swamp, okay.
I did have that complaint as well, that I wanted more spookies, but I could see saving them for the show. But if it's just going to be... That's, I think, part of why it felt so Game of Thrones to me, because it's like, oh, it's another show where people are going to talk all the time, and it's set in fantasy, and maybe once an episode I get to watch the dude kill some stuff.
So the question is it because the trailer was deliberately edited to make it look like Game of Thrones? Because people are like, hey, Game of Thrones is hot, make it do that? Or is it what the series is about? Do you see what I'm trying? Do you see what I'm asking here?
Yep.
Where the show itself could actually be hunt this monster of the week with the occasional plot advancement story thrown in. How many episodes is this going to be, by the way? Do we know?
We don't.
No, with
it being the first season of a Netflix show, I would guess it's 6 to 10 episodes a season.
Let's take a look here. Series will air, blah, blah, blah. I got the Witcher Wikipedia page up right now. Yeah, there's no... Goddamn. You figure they would have said this many things. Also, late 2019. That's soon.
Yeah.
We don't have a date on that either, do we?
I don't think we have a firm date, no.
Anyways, I just want to bring that up because that trailer's been generating some buzz. I think I am in the majority opinion of people kind of going, it could be good, but I'm holding judgment until it comes out. And I think a lot of that is just our general cynicism of video game adaptations, because there really aren't many good ones.
Yep.
Anyways.
I mean, and to that matter, there's not that many good book adaptations either.
No.
I still remember fucking Harrison Ford showing up in Ender's Game. Don't think I forgot you.
Anyways, let us know what you think about this upcoming Witcher Netflix TV show coming up. Whether you're watching it, whether you're excited for it, if you think it's good, if you think it's bad, what your thoughts and feelings are about it, down in the comments below. David.
Yeah, sorry, I've been trying so hard to figure out what the lifetime sales of the Witcher novel series were to compare it to the video games, but so far all I found is the video game, which is like 33 million. So that's not that helpful. Sorry, guys.
Not at all. Let's move on to some sad news to kick off the news of the week. I don't know what to call him, because I'm actually I'm going to go ahead and say up front right now, I am completely unfamiliar with who this gentleman is, but I do know from the outpouring on social media he was very, very watched and loved by a lot of people. But a Twitch streamer by the name of Geoff Robinson, a.k.a. In Control, died suddenly at the age of 33. And I do mean suddenly. People were saying, I just saw him 2 days ago, and then he's gone.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like, due to sudden illness is what was released on the Twitter post about it. Just all of a sudden.
Just poof.
Former pro StarCraft 2 player, host for different like esports and streams, and a streamer.
Yeah. This is from gamesindustry.biz, by the way. If you wanted the source of this, links will be provided down below. Geoff Robinson has died. The 33-year-old Twitch streamer and esports host social media channels were updated over the weekend with news of his passing. With immense grief, we announced Geoff's unexpected passing due to sudden illness Saturday, read the statement posted on his Twitter account. We ask privacy as his family works to understand what happened and make arrangements. To honor Geoff or comfort his family, we suggest donating to SoulCal Bulldog, which is a bulldog rescue in Southern California, which he loved. Geoff is deeply loved across many communities, and we're working to make sure his affairs are in order as he would want. Barristan, his pet bulldog, is safe in care of his friends and family. Will share the words of remembrance when they are ready. Let's live today as an example of love and laughter. Robinson was a competitive StarCraft player and part of the first Evil Geniuses team to complete in the game. Since retiring as a competitor, Robinson has moved to a second career as a broadcaster, covering esports events, hosting and streaming daily to almost 115,000 followers on his own Twitch channel. In addition, he offered consulting services and media training for aspiring esports pros and personalities. This guy was huge on the esports scene, which is something neither one of us are really too familiar with.
Yeah, well, I never really followed StarCraft. But
right.
This sucks because you hate hearing anybody in our... I don't know the best way to say it. I don't want to say wheelhouse, but just in this realm.
Community.
Yeah, that's a good one. passing, especially suddenly and so flippin' young. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't want to speculate what might have happened to him. The family did specifically ask for privacy, but it needs to be brought up. This shit happened quick. So either there was something long-term that was being kept private, or something just came out of nowhere, which does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So our condolences, of course, go out to Geoff Robinson's family. It's one of those things. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this. It's one of those cases where this is a gentleman who I've never heard of before, but the moment he passed, everyone that I knew in this realm was speaking highly of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost felt like an asshole for not knowing who he was.
Yeah, it makes you run out and find out everything he's done before.
Right. So it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that someone that seems to have brought like a lot of joy and success, or a joy to people, and seemed very successful in what he was doing, just goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to honor Geoff, of course, make sure to make donations to SoCal Bulldog. That seems to be his charity of choice, and that seems to be where the family is directing you. Once again, links will be provided down below if you wish to do that. David?
This sucks.
Yeah. Let's move on. I'm not even going to do a cute transition on this one. I'm just going to have you lead us on to the next news story.
All right. Moving on. We have the rumor mill firing on all cylinders, as it likes to do so much. This is via Forbes, but originally it's via a throwaway Reddit account and a post on Reddit. Red Dead Redemption 2 DLC rumor claims an alien undead nightmare is coming. So there is a rumor making the rounds regarding Red Dead Redemption 2, and
I'm going to come out and say this right now, by the way, before we get too deep into it. I call bullshit on everything here.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing seems right about this.
This is completely ridiculous. Like a throwaway Reddit account that just says, hey, I know an artist at Rockstar that says they're going to make a single-player alien-based DLC, kind of like Undead Nightmare was for the first Red Dead. No. Rockstar is not in the business of making single-player DLC anymore. And if they are, they would probably still make it for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right.
Like, if they were making a single-player DLC, I'd imagine they would make it for Grand Theft Auto before they made it for Red Dead, because that game still has more players and has sold way more copies. Yes.
By the way, Revelations, we're talking about the Forbes article discussing the rumors of Red Dead Redemption 2 DLC. Thank you for joining the chat, by the way. The article itself more or less sums up everything you're talking about. The problem I have with it all, though, is that this was the Alien DLC, the proposed Undead Nightmare with aliens in the Red Dead Redemption 2 DLC, in itself was just a small bit of the overall article. The bulk of the article itself talks about how there's going to be an upcoming full remake of Red Dead Redemption 1. That's not just a remaster, but an entire remake complete with the game systems of RDR2 in place. I just don't buy any of this. I can't buy any of this. Rockstar doesn't make single-player story content anymore. Now, before everyone goes, but they made Red Dead Redemption 2. Guys, they made Red Dead Redemption 2 to sell you Red Dead Redemption Online. That's the only reason why Red Dead Redemption 2 exists, is because they wanted Red Dead Redemption 2 Online to be the next GTA Online, and guess what? It wasn't.
Because Grand Theft Auto 5 has consistently been on every single top 10 best-selling games list since it came out 800 million years ago.
Right. There's
completely ridiculous.
From Take-Two's good.
That again, the fact that a game can have a tail like that is just completely absurd, and it's all been due to the monetization of Grand Theft Auto Online and how much people fucking love that.
And therein lies the problem. From Take-Two's point of view, and the shareholders' point of view, which is the only one that matters to Take-Two. It doesn't matter what we think. Doesn't matter if we think the story's amazing.
If you look at any of their posts, like their social media posts talking about like upcoming content to Grand Theft Auto Online or Red Dead Redemption, most of the comments are people just mad at them for like the grindiness and how much the cost of everything is and all that other crap. And they've never responded because they don't give a shit because they're still selling it.
But since Red Dead Redemption 2 is not pulling in GTA Online numbers, Rockstar is going to quietly forget about this game existing. The only things I'm convinced that Rockstar from this point are going to do with that game is the inevitable porting over to other systems. For example, when it finally comes out on PC, because that's a way for them to sell that game again. Or when they make the PlayStation 5, Xbox, Scorpio, whatever the hell that thing's going to be called, systems. That's the only time they're going to revisit this game again. I highly doubt that we're going to get any kind of story DLC on the lines of Undead Nightmare for Red Dead Redemption 2. I highly doubt that we're even going to get more content for Red Dead Redemption 2 online, to be quite honest with you.
They'll probably keep doing some, but I imagine that most of the staff is probably transferred back to Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, let me rephrase that statement just slightly. What I mean when I say that is no extra planned content. What they already have on the books, they are going to wind out for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
But once that's done, it's all hands on deck back to Grand Theft Auto Online until the inevitable Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, which, once again, won't be being made because Rockstar likes the the story campaign stuff. It'll be made to push Grand Theft Auto Online 6, or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
They're loss leaders.
Grand Theft Auto 6, Grand Theft Online 2?
Or whatever. But that is, they are a victim of their own success when it comes to GTA Online because it made so much fucking money. The investors at Take-Two go, we want that, and we want only that. And if a game doesn't do that, then why aren't you taking the resources on that game and putting them on the next version of that? So that is just how that is going to be.
Yeah, basically. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think because chat's asking a question that's a little too big to answer off the top of my head.
Yeah, fair enough. I get it. By the way, Revelation, thank you for showing up. If you have anything you want to add to the Red Dead Redemption, feel free to chime in there, as well as to anyone else happens to be lurking and on YouTube down below. What do you honestly?
I don't believe that they're going to get
DLC for this.
I think there could be, and it would be fun, and that Undead Nightmare was the coolest thing for Red Dead Redemption, and that's why I played that game online, but it didn't have Red Dead Online.
So in this rumor's defense,
all of Undead Nightmare could just be like an add-on or a single event that happens in the currently existing Red Dead thing, and that would be more believable than a standalone single-player DLC that adds aliens to your cowboy game. And as much as everybody loves Jon Favreau, I don't think they're going full Cowboys versus Aliens. It will most likely be a time-limited online event that has a bunch of extra stuff, and you can get an alien ghost horse or whatever that you can spend some money on.
In this rumor's defense, apparently there have been a shit ton of Easter eggs dealing with aliens in the game itself. Ancient writings talking about aliens, flying saucers apparently appearing at certain times in the night sky. But wasn't Bigfoot also in Grand Theft Auto 5? And what did they do with that? Did they do anything with that at all?
No, I don't think so. There's also like a spaceship and shit in Grand Theft Auto. There's a bunch of stuff.
They just tease stuff. That doesn't mean that it's going to go anywhere with it. So that's the only thing I can think of that might give some credence to this. But as far as I'm concerned, this rumor is completely fake. Now, I would love to be wrong. Undead Nightmare was amazing. I loved Undead Nightmare. I arguably liked Undead Nightmare more than I liked Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, I could agree with that because it like flipped the story. You like started from the end of the game and worked your way backwards, which is kind of cool. The fact that it actually tied into the main story in like a weird pseudo kind of way was really fun, and it was just fucking awesome riding around on a horse and having to deal with zombies and cougars trying to eat your horse. But
those days at Rockstar are long gone. This is just as likely as Bully 2 coming out, which just isn't going to happen. Anyways, let us know what you think about this rumored Alien DLC down below. David, let's go ahead and move on to the next story as we make our way through these in relatively quick time, because honestly, it has just been a slow week because of Comic-Con. But while on the topic of Comic-Con, let's talk about some lucky assholes who were flying from Texas to San Diego and how Nintendo hooked them up along with Southwest.
Yeah, dude, this is ridiculous.
This article is via IGN. Southwest airline passengers surprised with free Nintendo Switches. Southwest airline passengers went for a surprise on Wednesday after airline attendants gave everyone on the flight a free Nintendo Switch and a copy of Super Mario Maker 2. Southwest was flying Dallas Love Field Airport to San Diego International Airport to Comic-Con, and the promotion became publicized on Twitter, and passengers posted photos of the new Nintendo Switch consoles and copies of Mario 2. According to Funimation social media manager Nicholas Friedman, who was on his way to San Diego Comic-Con, Southwest Airline attendants began handing out free Switch units to everyone on board. They even wore Mario Maker 2 hard hats. Not everyone on the flight was on their way to San Diego Comic-Con, but considering the event starts this week, most were on their way there for the show. According to the photo of a ticket posted by another Twitter user, the console and the game were given out courtesy of Nintendo and Southwest Airlines. This is not the first time Nintendo and Southwest has collaborated on a Nintendo hardware giveaway. In 2013, Nintendo and Southwest gave passengers flying from New Orleans to Dallas free Wii U's, unfortunately for them, and a copy of Super Mario Bros. U.
That's cold, man.
In 2016, once again, two companies surprised passengers on a flight from Dallas to Los Angeles with a free Nintendo DS XL and Super Mario Maker for the 3DS.
That's pretty rad, dude.
I wonder how many people are like trying to now book specifically on Southwest, going to like PAX or Gamescom or something like that, hoping this happens as well.
I don't know of that many people that would specifically spend a shit ton of money on a plane ticket on the off chance that maybe they get the magic plane that gets a free game console.
But what I'm not saying is that they just randomly fly somewhere. What I'm saying is if they were flying to a destination to begin with, what's the likelihood that they would switch from United to Southwest?
That I could say is highly likely. Like people that are planning on going to PAX West at the end of the year that already had like a Delta flight, like you said, or whoever, I could see switching to Southwest. Like maybe what if that's a big deal? But yeah, I don't see anyone like going out of their way to book flights or like deciding to buy tickets to an event just so they could book a flight just so they have this chance. But yeah, if they're already going, I could see that swaying some butts to seats, and that's exactly why they do this.
Right.
Because they're like, man, maybe if we get on the Southwest flight, we could get stuff. But we're talking about the fact that there was one single flight from Texas that got this.
Yeah, and all the flights sent to San Diego.
One single flight that got Wii U's. And then years back, there was one single flight that got 3DS.
So this is where
it's not that there's a bunch of flights going to a single location. It's that there's, over the last, 6 years, there's been 3 flights that have gotten free things. So the likelihood is pretty damn low.
Here's where the asshole in me comes in. I thought that they were just given like a ticket, and when you get off the plane, go to this place and pick it up. According to this article, they were given to them on the flight, which makes me wonder, how fucking long did this flight get delayed for?
So they could fill it with Switches?
Yeah, or just so they can hand them out to every passenger. That's not necessarily a quick fix. Well, I don't know.
They could do it during beverage service.
If you do it like beverage service, just go like that.
Yeah. You got the beverages come by, and then the person behind the beverage service cart comes by with another cart filled with Nintendo Switches.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not that complicated.
Would they have done it?
I don't think it would have delayed the flight. It might delay someone like getting their food or getting their whiskey cola or whatever the hell people get on.
So I'm reading this article as if they would have handed them out before the flight took off, and so they would have been trapped on there. But I didn't even think, for some reason, my brain didn't think that they would have just done this mid-flight. No,
because I think it would be extra funny that they gave them out mid-flight, because I highly doubt that any of them came with a pre-installed version of Mario Maker. And for whatever reason, to me, it's more difficult to think that they got a Switch and a physical copy of the game. I feel like they would have gotten a Switch and then like a download code for the game. So it's like, congratulations, here's a game that you can't actually play for the entirety of this flight unless you pay us for Wi-Fi so that you can download it.
I have to assume that it came pre-installed on there, right? Or they could have had like a limited edition bundle. Like it's not like any colors or like that. But here's a Switch with. Well,
and here's the other fun thing is that I didn't see anybody. They didn't hand out boxes filled with Switches, because what are they going to do with all the garbage? I feel like
it was
they
like
literally
a bag or something, right?
Yeah, they gave everybody a Switch in a bag. So it's like, do I get a dock? Do I get a charger? Do I get this or that? Which that's a stupid complaint to make, but it's still like the thing I thought about. It's
I'm trying not to take away how cool this is, because I think that would be really cool to experience. It's like, holy shit, how awesome Nintendo! People are getting free Switches. We should be happy for them. I just have questions.
Yeah, I gotta talk shit on it because I'm super jealous, and that's just the way I'm gonna get.
I'm not even super jealous. I just want to know what the logistics behind it were. Like, I'm curious as to what the series of events took place. Did they do it on the tarmac, or did they wait for them to land? Did they hand them out in flight or not? Did they come with docks? What if someone isn't fucking charged? Were they all fully charged or what? Does Southwest have plugs to plug in the dock to charge up your Super Nintendo, or do they have actual like 110 outlets, or what? Or do you just have to sit here wait on the Switch that dies after 30 minutes because it only had half a charge in it? Like, I want to know the logistics. There's something in here that's missing.
It has some amount of charge in the box,
but how much?
Dude, I don't know.
How long is the flight from Dallas to San Diego? Remember, we established that a Switch.
And again, like, it's that fucking classic thing of bitching about a free thing is just so goddamn American. Like, here is a $300 video game console and a $60 video game, both of which are quite popular at the moment. Yeah, but can I play it right now? God damn, we're so fucking destroyed as
I'm
not even society that this is the shit we get a bitch about.
I'm not even like meaning to rag on Nintendo. I don't want to rag on Nintendo. This is actually cool.
We should just stick with this is fucking cool. Good on you guys. This is rad. It probably won't sway me specifically to like try and book extra flights. But yeah, if I'm planning on going somewhere game related, I'll probably take Southwest because why not?
I just want the details as to how this happened. And from what I understand, there were signs that were posted up before people were even getting on the flight that says, hey, filming in progress.
And we probably just need to find someone who actually got it. And I'm sure if you like follow the Twitter rabbit hole of people that got it, there's a video that someone took of them handing them out or something. I didn't bother to look it up.
Yeah. And as someone who didn't get a Switch, I'm looking at this going, okay, how did it happen? Like, if I was on the plane, I wouldn't have any of these questions. Well, I would know, but I'd always be like, fuck, I don't care if it has a dock. I got a free fucking Switch. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I played for 15 minutes and died. Whatever, I have a free fucking Switch. We're from the outside looking in, trying to just piece together. Like, I think a lot of it's because the airplanes are so tightly regulated that when you hear something like this, you have to wonder all the federal bullshit they have to go through just to clear it.
Yeah,
and that's why I think they might have just done this on the tarmac rather than mid-flight, because you don't want to just cause a disturbance of people freaking out mid-flight.
Fair. Or maybe it was done like I get, yeah, because anything they did on the way into the plane would have made getting on the plane take longer.
Yeah, that's why I thought they just handed out like tickets. They like, here's your ticket you get a free Switch. Here's your ticket. Pick it up at the gate when you leave. But from what I'm understanding, they just handed them out on the flight. Do you see why I'm like confused from the logistic standpoint?
Yeah, it's funny. We're gonna have to just like hunt people down on Twitter to figure it out. This is it's so ridiculous.
The point. Okay. Cool. Either way, I'm happy for these guys. It's something that was also Nintendo's doing. I don't want people to think I'm being like sour grapes on this. I just have questions. I have questions that I need answered, and I have so little faith in humanity that they couldn't have been able to do this in mid-flight, because in my brain suddenly you have like kids screaming and running down and causing a scene, but I also just jump to like the worst possible image of humanity when something nice happens. Mm-hmm. It could have been very calm, and everyone went, "Oh shit, awesome," and that could have been it. Anyways, yeah, good on Nintendo, good on Southwest, very cool, and congrats to the people that picked up a free Switch. It's awesome to hear stories like this, because you get very few really cool just have this for free kind of things happening. It's in an industry that is notoriously known for nickeling and diming every aspect they possibly can.
That's true.
David?
Speaking of nickels, you know who's got a whole bunch of those? Those dudes that put out Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Ninja Theory? Weird, by the way, that Ninja Theory developed Ultimate Alliance 3. This next story is via Benji Sales on Twitter. He is a market analyst, and apparently it looks like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is selling very well, at least way above his expectations. We're going to read directly from his Twitter account. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is opening 48 hours is tracking significantly ahead of my expectations for the title in the US. Frankly, I wasn't sure how it would perform, and as pre-release tracking wasn't all that strong, very impressive launch. Marvel and Nintendo may have a legitimate hit. Notice a lot of the conditional phrases. May. Significantly ahead of my expectations. There's a lot of, I thought I was going to do this. It looks like to be doing this. So what we're reading here isn't necessarily what the final numbers are going to be, so take this with a grain of salt, everyone who is watching. back to his Twitter account.
I do feel like a lot of people were excited for this game, though, so it's not super surprising to me that it's doing well, because there's not, besides Diablo 3, there's not really another game that's similar in vein to Ultima
I was
Online
actually
3.
pretty surprised that Marvel seems to be doing well, because in the couple weeks leading up to its release, I heard nothing on it. There seemed to be no buzz on this game at all.
Yeah.
Just
people that were waiting for a sequel, I think were pretty excited about it, but maybe they weren't super vocal about it.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was, I didn't want to say crash and burn, but it didn't seem to be. I'm glad to hear it's doing well. That's a surprise to me. Back to his Twitter account. It's looking possible that Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 could be the third biggest Switch launch of 2019 so far, only behind New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe and Mario Maker 2. It's tracking us significantly ahead of other big launches such as Mortal Kombat 11 and Crash Team Racing, for example. The key thing now will be how it performs over the coming weeks and if it can manage to take the third place spot. Definitely a bigger than expected opening, but if legs are poor, it could miss it. That's the biggest surprise to me. That so far in the first 48 hours, it is the third best-selling game for the Switch in 2019.
Okay, that is a pretty bold statement. List to me the best-selling games sold for Switch in 2019 that aren't first-party Nintendo games.
Mortal Kombat 11 and Crash Team Racing, I'd imagine, because those are the three he compares it to.
Yeah, so a port of a fighting game that's available in a better version on literally every other device that it was released on, and a remaster of some 20-year-old Crash games.
That remaster of 20 Masters was sold very, very well.
No, and that's true. And not just to completely shit on those games, but this is a brand new, I don't want to say original, but sequel to a fairly beloved franchise from a while ago. I mean, Crash can have a similar argument, but again, those are remasters of existing games that people played before. Mortal Kombat 11 is a fighting game, and I just don't know that there's a huge Switch community specifically for Mortal Kombat. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of like fighting game community players would either pick it up on one of the major consoles, like Xbox or PS4, just because the online community will probably be more competitive.
Fair enough, but
and then of course the two Nintendo first party games that have been released this year are the big games, because that's why you buy a Nintendo console, is for the Nintendo first party games. So it's like weird to me the way he writes it, because like you mentioned, he's got a bunch of like exception speech in it, like it's ahead of my expectations, and we'll see how it does, and blah blah blah. And I'm like kind of bothered by it, because I want Ultimate Alliance 3 to do super well, because
that's just it. It sounds like it is, but we're not going to know until it's out for a week. Because if by reading on this, it's just I wish they had things considered. If you take within the first 48 hours of every game released in 2019 for the Switch, he's making this sound like Marvel Ultimate Alliance is ranked third. That is very impressive for a game that I thought just was going to be not DOA, but not do too well because of the general lack of buzz on it.
Well, and then there's also the fact that if it's just like completely the third best-selling game and it's been out for 4 days, that's a huge deal.
Well, it's not that. It's definitely not that. It's just, if comparatively speaking, when you look at other games, 48 hours.
It's opening 48 hours is huge. So like, if it gets just crazy numbers in the next 2 months or something, that's awesome.
Yeah, but sales could also drop like a stone, because let's say word of mouth gets around, people are like, it's all right, or they finish it real quick, or.
But I've heard it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Like, I started off the show saying that I'm having a lot of fun with it. The question is that, is it going to have enough legs to carry it to somewhere top of the charts? Because I doubt it's going to be the third best-selling Wii game this year so far. I just have a very hard time believing that.
Yeah, dude, there's a Fire Emblem game coming out next week.
Well, even right now, let's say that Fire Emblem game wasn't coming up, which I think is one of the reasons why you're not seeing too much marketing for this, because this is also a Switch exclusive, releasing a week before Fire Emblem comes out, which has just sucked all the conversation around the Switch out of the room. It just sucked all the oxygen for anything else, because Fire Emblem, which used to not be a big franchise, is now a huge franchise for Nintendo. As far as American audiences are concerned. For the longest time, Fire Emblem was always kind of like this bastard turn RPG that no one cared about. As of a couple years ago, I want to say starting with, what was it, Awakening?
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, Fire Emblem's fucking huge in America. And that just sucks any oxygen out of any other conversation of any other game for the Switch. And Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, I thought, was going to be a casualty of that. I am Extremely happy to see that is not, at least it appears to not be. Remember, some publishers get really weird with their expected sales numbers. We're talking Dead Space 3 had to sell 5 million copies to be fucking successful. Tomb Raider was not successful despite selling, I want to say, 6 million. The Square Enix reboot of it.
All that stuff's weird. And, of course, they still have to worry about a Pokemon game at the end of the year. So we'll see.
We'll see how this shakes out. We won't know until NPD comes out like in October for this month, I think. I think it's October.
I want more Ultimate Alliance. I do. Let's get more of that.
I do, too.
I hope you guys do fucking amazing and you completely destroy all expectations and then you make more of these games because I would like to play them.
And it's still weird that Ninja Theory did this game to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is
not Ninja Theory. Team Ninja?
Oh, dude, I do that all the time. I never remember who's who.
Yeah, Team Ninja. Ninja Theory are the guys who did Enslaved and Heavenly Sword and DMC. They did not do this game. I'm sorry. It is Team Ninja that did this game. I have it wrong. Team Ninja are the guys
That's the Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden guys.
Yeah, still weird. That's who I was thinking of. I was just getting the name wrong.
What's funny is that... so, now that we know who's who, Team Ninja to me is the weirder of the two.
Why is that?
The Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive guys are the ones that made it, not the...
This seems to be more like a Ninja Theory than a Team Ninja game.
Yeah. That's what my argument is.
I get it. David, let's go ahead and move on to this.
It's got a shit ton of fan service. I don't know.
Not that I've seen. Let's go ahead and move on to this last story of the week.
Well, this is from DSO Gaming. And Gesundheit?
Sorry, I coughed.
Fans are working on a Dino Crisis remake in Unreal Engine 4, and there's some footage from it. Now, this doesn't have any gameplay. This doesn't have any characters, any dinosaurs. It's just renderings of levels, but in Unreal Engine 4. According to the article, it looks much better than the game used to. However, I'm going to have to disagree, because if you remember, much like the old Resident Evil games, Dino Crisis had pre-rendered backgrounds, and it's hard to look better than that, because that shit looked fucking awesome. And I think we should go back to it.
I disagree with you there, but I understand the sentiment.
I'm just saying, if we had 4K pre-rendered backgrounds and then we had really good-looking characters put on top of it, it could be really nice. I'm just saying.
From the article from Dark Side of Gaming, Dino Crisis fans, here's something special for you today. Team Arkley is currently working on a fan remake of the first Dino Crisis game on Unreal Engine 4. As with all such fan remakes, this Dino Crisis remake will be available for free once and if it ever reaches a playable state. The reason why I want to call that sentence out specifically is because this, let's be real here, guys. This is never going to get released. Not because I doubt Team Arkley is lazy and that they can't do it, but because Capcom is going to slap these son of a bitches with a cease and desist extremely quickly.
Well, if you recall, there was a team that was working on a remake for Resident Evil 2, and they got pretty far. And when Capcom slapped them with a C&D, it was because they had an associated project being worked on, and then we eventually got the actual remake for Resident Evil 2, which is fucking awesome. So I feel like if nothing else, the Arkley team, more than wanting to release a complete fan remake of the game, which they would do if they get the opportunity, and they've already said they would release it for free, people get to play it because they just like Dino Crisis. I feel like they're just hoping that Capcom sees support and actually starts working on a remaster of their own.
Maybe
that would be like their ideal scenario, is that they don't finish it, they get slapped with a cease and desist, but it turns into Capcom working on the project themselves, and then we get a Dino Crisis game in the same vein as the Resident Evil 2 remake, which I would immediately buy.
I would too. I would love a Dino Crisis remake.
With no hesitation. I would play the shit out of that game. Throw it in the RE engine, and yeah, you can have my money.
The problem is, and this is a problem that runs the gambit of all fan remakes, not just specifically Dino Crisis, but we're going to focus on that because that's the topic of the day. Regardless if Capcom is working on a Dino Crisis or not, they have to hit these guys with a cease and desist by law.
Yep.
Not by law. It's not like illegal for them not to do it.
They have to do it because if they don't, then
grounds.
Exactly, yeah. There's like a whole precedent thing. That's why
we go back to the Elder Scrolls and Mojang suing each other over the name Scrolls way back. Well, not Elder Scrolls, Bethesda and Mojang suing each other over the name Scrolls.
Because they had to.
If you don't actively defend your copyright, it's more likely for a court to go, okay, you don't have that copyright anymore, or rather, someone else can use it. And once again, neither one of us are lawyers. We don't know this. We're just basing this off shit that we've read in other stories that we covered that's like this.
We don't even pretend to be lawyers.
No.
We pretend to be guys that know how to read things that lawyers write. There's a clear difference.
And the reason why we read so many stories about just little fan sites getting aggressively pursued is because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I still wish them all the best, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it, but guys, you clearly have some talent. I'd hate to see all this effort and time and work go into something that, once again, let's be real here, is going to get canceled because of legal reasons.
That's okay. There's all kinds of stuff that sometimes gets canceled, but if you're paying attention and you're a fan of it, you can manage to download a copy before it gets pulled from everywhere and still play it, which is why I have the 2D Link to the Past version of Breath of the Wild allegedly somewhere on my computer.
That's cool and all. I get it. But I would rather they take their time and their effort and their talent and put it
build
to something unique.
Build something new?
Yes. It could even be like an homage to Dino Crisis. It could
Crisis of Dinos.
Yeah. Day of Dinosaur Crisis or some shit like that.
Yeah. Swap the protagonist's hair colors.
Yeah. Just enough to skirt past any trademark / copyright issues.
60%. You need to be 60% different legally to avoid nonsense.
It's just... I always get this sense of despondency when I see this, because I know that these guys are going to put a lot of effort into it, and it's going to be for naught in the end, because they are going to get cease and desisted into oblivion.
See, I think it's awesome because it's still something cool they get to work on, and even if the project's never released, they could still have like videos of here's the stuff I worked on, here's a bunch of art I worked on, here's something. I don't think it's useless. If they're having a good time, if they're doing it in their spare time, even if they're doing it all the time, I think it's cool. Have fun, guys. Enjoy your lives.
Fair enough. Anyways, let us know what you think about fan remakes down in the comments below. David, this Dino Crisis remake sounds cool and all, and assuming that Capcom doesn't strike them down from on high, it's still going to be years before it comes out.
From the Capcom heavens?
From the Capcom heavens, which is currently being boistered by Monster Hunter and Resident Evil. And here's the thing, Capcom's on the rise.
Dude, I'm so happy with Capcom
I'm so
right
happy
now.
On that. But either way, we're not going to know how this game's going to shake out for a long, long time. So, in the meantime, as we're waiting with bated breath to see if Capcom's going to let the squeak by or not, if they're going to announce their own Dino Crisis, what can we do to keep ourselves entertained?
Well, what we could do is you could join my new fan project, which is where I get a bunch of people that aren't me to make a remake of Parasite Eve. But
that franchise is dead, man. They keep trying to retool it, and it's never worked out. The first one was awesome. The second one sucked. The third one sucked even harder. That franchise is dead, man.
I know. That's okay.
The third one was so bad, they didn't even call it Parasite Eve. They just called it the third birthday.
You can leave me over here with my love for F-Zero and Parasite Eve, and we'll talk about new releases instead. Womp womp. So there are some video games coming out this week. How about Elsinore for PC and Mac? This is a adventure sim game. So I think isometric adventure, point and click on things. It's not Groundhog's Day, but it's Groundhog's Day adjacent.
Yes.
It's set in the world of Shakespeare's Hamlet, and it's more like a Groundhog's Week, where you play as a character that's going through this kind of Shakespearean area. It's got a lot of social storytelling. It's a very adventure game full of all kinds of characters and secrets and stuff. But every week, clock resets, and you go back through it, and you got to figure out what you need to do in order to win, survive, get people you love to survive, get people you hate to die, whatever you need to do to actually get the game to work, because there's all kinds of branching narrative nonsense that goes on, which sounds pretty fun.
I actually want to sit down and play this because... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Groundhog's Day as a core story element is and always will be flippin' awesome.
It reminds me of a game called The Sexy Brutal, which was a game design where you play someone who is stuck in the time loop trying to prevent the deaths of everyone else. Same idea, but in the world of Hamlet. Now, how familiar with Hamlet?
Not too much. I was in Macbeth in middle school, not Hamlet.
I was actually in Hamlet as a very brief role. But
I stabbed Mercutio. That dude got dead.
By the end of Hamlet, almost the entirety of the cast is dead.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I'm sorry. Let me go back. I was not in Hamlet, but I have seen The Lion King. Does that help?
Yes, that's very, very similar story. One could say ripoff.
It is the exact story.
Lion King in Elsinore, you play the character of Ophelia, who was always seen as kind of nutty. She was like the slightly insane chick who goes nuts and drowns herself in the story. It's very tragic. Mm-hmm. But she's trying to keep everyone from just fucking murdering each other. And I love the idea that she is in the Groundhog Day loop. So I want to play this. I don't know if I will ever get around to it, but it sounds like a cool idea. It's a great Shakespearean play to do this with.
Yeah, sounds fun. Also coming out this week, Beyond Two Souls, that classic Quantic Dream interactive adventure, is releasing this week on PC. This is coming out to the Epic Game Store, much like Heavy Rain did before it, and much like Detroit Become Human will at some point in the future.
The weakest of these three games, by the way. Beyond Two Souls was not that good.
This is classic David Cage, interactive movie where you press button prompts, stuff happens. This is the one that actually stars famous people because it's got Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe. I think he is slightly more Dafoe than DeFriend in this game, but we'll see.
Jesus Christ.
But it includes the DLC for the original game, plus 4K support at 60 frames per second. Suck it, PS4. But I don't know. You do it if you want to. I mean, there's people that like this game. I know a bunch of people that actually do like Beyond Two Souls. It is probably the weakest of those three, but I mean, anything's better than the last one quarter of Indigo Prophecy.
Have you played Beyond Two Souls?
No.
Okay, that's a bold statement to make if you haven't actually played Beyond Two Souls. That's how I knew you haven't played it, because you made that statement.
There's a lot of stuff that's better than the last quarter of Indigo Prophecy.
That's not what I did. Make that claim.
Wargroove hits PS4. This is the game that came out to Switch not too long ago. It's Advance Wars. No, seriously.
It's a damn good Advance Wars at that.
It's a damn good Advance Wars, and you can play it on your PS4 if you don't already have it on Switch. Also hitting PC this week, Tetris Effect. This is the best fucking game to happen to Tetris in like 30 years. If you've got VR, play this fucking game.
It's also Epic Store exclusive as well.
If you love Tetris, play this fucking game. Tetris Effect is phenomenal.
It is good.
That's all I gotta say on that. Mighty Switch Force with an exclamation mark collection for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is a port collection of some old 3DS games. I think one of them was released on Steam at some point, but the first two Mighty Switch Force games, I believe, are both 3DS exclusives. You play as a police officer rounding up escaped convicts. It is a 2D action platformer, so think like Mega Man, Castlevania, I don't know, Metroidvania-y games, but more cartoony and slide moves. That's why I think more of the Mega Man comparison. You run around, you shoot, you jump and shoot, man. It's got 4 different games. So Mighty Switch Force, Mighty Switch Force 2, Mighty Switch Force Hyperdrive, and whatever the hell the other one's called. I forgot. I didn't write it down.
Fair enough.
But yeah, jump and shoot, man. Except for your jump and shoot lady, and you're after criminals. Fantasy Strike hits PS4. Switch,
I love
PC,
it when it's a game you have absolutely no interest in, and you can just tell.
I like Metroidvanias. This art style just didn't grab me in any particular way. I know there's a lot of people that like it, but 3DS ports also don't tend to grab me. I can see the appeal of like Phoenix Wright because it's like a game that's like beloved and it's something you don't really need aesthetics on, but I just don't. There's other games in this genre that I'd rather play. Fantasy Strike, I think, finally comes out of early access this week for PS4, Switch, PC, and Mac. It's been on Steam since like 2017 in early access, but this is it's like a 2D fighter that's built to be easy to non-fighting game players. That's the best way I think I can describe it. They built it so that the controls are simple. There's much less complicated combo like implementation in the game, so you don't have to press 800,000 buttons so that your character does the move. You can do everything a little simple. I think you don't even have to do a Shoryuken in the damn game. It's like forward button and you do an uppercut, you know. And it still has a potential depth in that it has a lot of the familiar fighting game like tropes, like you still have to worry about zoning and pacing and trying to control the fight and all this stuff. And the graphics are pretty interesting. So there's people that maybe are interested in fighting games but suck at them. here you go. It's got tutorials for every the characters, like video tutorials. It even gives you frame input data. It's pretty detailed in how it's trying to teach you to not suck at fighting games. So that on its own, I think, is pretty cool. Kill La Kill, the game, for PS4, Switch, and PC. Kill La Kill, the game, beside having a ridiculous name, is a arena fighting game based on the popular, violent, and fan servicey anime series, which debuted in 2013. I pulled that straight from the fucking wiki. You're welcome. But more importantly, this is put out by Arc System Works, which are the awesome guys that put out Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue. So the game is probably pretty good looking. Probably
looks very pretty, but Arc System Works. I swear they put out like a new fighting game every quarter. It feels like.
Yes, that is what they exist to do, and they are slowly grabbing every single franchise that anyone that watches anime has ever heard of or loved, and they're going to make a fighting game out of it if they can. And you know what, guys? Have fun. There's a ton of anime games that I don't look at. At least you guys are making them interesting.
Okay.
Though this game, I do need to point out, it's not a traditional 2D fighter. This is an arena fighter. So think more
Battle Arena Toshinden.
Or like more recent examples like Dragon Ball Xenoverse, all the Naruto fighting games, Pokken Tournament, the Pokemon fighting game.
I forgot Pokken existed. What a weird crossover that was.
Or Final Fantasy Dissidia, where your character, you're actually playing from,
you're not on a 2D plane.
You're playing like behind the right shoulder of your character, so it's kind of 3D, and then you're fighting at each other, as weird as that is. Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot hits for PSVR, and PC VR this week, which brings virtual reality to the revolution against the Nazis. Pilot a large Nazi-killing robot and kick some ass in VR. It's Wolfenstein. Except for this one, you drive a robot, and it actually looks fun as shit, and it's in VR, so that's exciting. Also coming out this week, Wolfenstein Youngblood, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty hyped for this game. This game looks rad as shit. It's a co-op Wolfenstein adventure, so you can play solo or team up with a friend, and you actually play as BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters. So the guy from the last two Wolfenstein games, I think all the Wolfenstein games, let's be real, had some kids. He's gone missing, and you are basically here to kick ass and take names and go find where your pappy went, with all kinds of crazy weapons and over-the-top drama, action, murdery, death explosions that the Wolfenstein franchise has kind of become known for. It's also set like full synthwave 80s, and I'm just 100% on board for it. I love everything about the aesthetic of this game. I like the music I've heard so far, and I like FPSs that are co-op. So
I need to get off my ass and actually finish what's the second one? The New Colossus?
New Colossus.
I didn't get off my ass and actually finish it. I played a little bit of it, and I'm like, okay, it's more Wolfenstein. That's fine. And just stopped.
I think the new Wolfenstein games are pretty damn cool, honestly. And a co-op one sounds rad to me. And it's not like they made it a giant online game. 2-player co-op, that's perfect. Sounds fun. Something I know that a bunch of people are going to play, Fire Emblem 3 Houses finally hits for Switch. We've been hearing about this game, I feel like, forever. Like,
really looking forward to this one.
Like, since before we knew about the Switch, I feel like I've been hearing about this game. This is the debut Fire Emblem game for the Switch. It's originally been on...
First time it's been on a console for a very long time, too. I think I want to say since GameCube.
Yeah, it's been on 3DS forever. Fire Emblem games are always awesome. They are tactical RPGs. So, man, if you've never played a tactical RPG, how am I going to describe it to you? Top-down, isometric, turn-based game that's strategically built to invoke the feeling of chess, where you have multiple units that have different skills and abilities that you use to murder your enemies. Usually story-based. And also, one of the best damn game types ever fucking invented.
Yeah, you're a big fan of the turn-based strategy like this.
Hell yeah, bro. Let's talk about it. Final Fantasy Tactics, still one of the best games ever made.
It is. Let's also not forget Front Mission. Back before Front Mission became what it is now.
Pour one out for Front Mission. Front Mission 3 is still one of the greatest fucking games. Also,
it really is. It really is. But now we get shit like Left Behind.
We can go back to Ogre Battle if you want, man. I'm down. Let's talk about it. But anyway, this is a Fire Emblem game. It takes place on a continent called Fodlan, where the Church of Cyros exists at the center of it all. Basically, you have a customizable character, and you are the advisor to the actual main characters, much like the other Fire Emblem games. You do make a character, you play as that person, but you're like oh, you seem to be really good at strategy. Will you please teach me how to lead my army and tell me everything I need to do for the next 90 hours of your life? And you say, yes.
Actually, I think you just say ... I want to say the protagonist is always silent in these games. And I don't mean silent as in they have just text dialogues. I mean silent as in they don't say much. It has been a long... I played...
That's fine. You didn't need to talk to pick up Tharja in that other Fire Emblem game,
That's
so it's all
true.
good in the hood.
I'm trying to remember if the main character actually had any dialogue in it. I could be wrong on that, but
I feel like they talk.
It's weird because
the player-made protagonist is even in Smash Brothers, which is ridiculous.
I could be wrong
male
on
and female Corrin in that game.
Because all of Awakening is kind of a blur to me, but I swear that you actually didn't play Corrin in that game. Were you Corrin in Awakening?
Yeah, basically. You could name him whatever the hell you wanted.
I thought you were I thought you were like a friend of his. But it's been a long time since I played it.
You basically replace that character. If you don't press any buttons or click anything, you play as Corrin.
Okay.
With gray hair and everything.
Okay.
You can just customize them and rename them. So kind of like there's a shit ton of people that played through Final Fantasy VII but didn't have the name Cloud because RPGs have the option to just name your characters. We just kind of refer to it that way.
I was confused then. I mean, I like Fire Emblem. I'm not a fanatic for Fire Emblem. I am looking forward to this one, but I can't tell you like the plot inside and out, and I forget people's names.
You're an officer you're a professor at the Officers Academy, and you have 3 different houses, which is why they call it 3 houses.
Yeah, like a 3-way war breaks out or some shit.
That have various higher-ups that are actually your students. So you kind of can... I think choose who you support and throw in with that lot and work to make them the winner of everything. Also, as a completely ridiculous aside, and I hate advertising companies, but I felt it necessary to mention that if you're super fucking hyped for Fire Emblem and you really want a physical copy of the game, and God, I hate this store, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you physically drive to a Walmart on Friday when this game comes out, you can buy it for $49. Instead of the usual 60. They're doing an in-store only sale promotion on launch day. Apparently they just did it for Ultimate Alliance 3 as well. They sold that game for $49 physical on launch day in store. Which I didn't know about. And I mean, getting a brand new game for less than $60 is pretty damn rare. And if $10 is the difference between you not buying this game and you absolutely have to have it, then more power to you, man. I ain't gonna be mad at you. And Walton sure as hell won't. Or whoever the hell's in charge of them now. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. It's also possible that like Amazon or Best Buy or whoever might price match, but it's an in-store only promotion, so I have no idea. I'm not actually a commercial. I just sound like one on TV. Finally, Tetsumo Party for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is a 4-player local nonsense competition game where you help sumo warriors win in a... You remember Most Extreme Challenge, MXC?
Yes.
So one of the obstacles, or it might not even been MXC, it might have been one of the Japanese game shows, where they have a wall that slowly like comes towards the contestant and has a ridiculous shape, and they have to contort their body so they fit through it so they don't get knocked into a tunk of water.
They actually turned this into a US game show called Hole in the Wall or some shit like that.
Yes. So like Hole in the Wall, it's an entire game built around that. But instead of you controlling the character... It's 4-player local co-op, so each one of you controls a limb, and you're trying to contort. You're trying to contort this guy to fit through the wall, and it actually looks pretty damn hilarious. And I could see how this would be a bunch of fun with people sitting around the living room playing it.
That's just
not
just hell.
Great to sit around by yourself, but I could see that being super fun. So there you go.
God damn, that just sounds horrifying.
That's fair, but anything that's got couch co-op, we got to talk about. It's important.
I think what's that game? QWOP. Where
That
sounds like take QWOP.
The running game where you control your legs, individual muscles with your keyboard, so it's the most awkward shit in the world to try and play.
Take QWOP, but instead of you controlling all 4 keys, you give a key to each person.
Yeah.
No.
That's about right.
That sounds like fucking hell, and I don't want any part of it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, if you don't want to do that, then you can pick one of the other things I said, because that's all that's coming out besides a shit ton of things for the Nintendo eShop like normal, and probably more shovelware than Steam could possibly imagine.
Fair enough. David, that brings us to the end of new releases, which brings us to the end of the show as well. This has been Game Points episode 184, and thank you all for showing up. We do broadcast live at Twitch TV/GamePoints every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here. And if you want to join the show, please show up to participate. If you can't, however, show up live, feel free to comment down below over at GamePoint or youtube.com/GamePointsPC. Regardless of where you're at, you want to support the channel, feel free to like, follow, subscribe, throw bits at, etc. If you're sitting on an Amazon and Twitch Prime account here at Twitch TV and you haven't used it, appreciate it here. But if you don't use it here, please use it somewhere. Give it to your favorite streamer. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePointsPC. You can follow myself, Steve Branagh, Kappa21, and you can follow David there at Palstrife_Satori. I'll be back this week with random game streaming, probably do some more Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and maybe get off my ass and actually finish up the new Colossus. I haven't decided yet.
Doubt it.
Doubt it. It's probably all going to be Marvel Ultimate Alliance till Fire Emblem comes out. Let's just be real here. Maybe some Stellaris thrown in because mushroom people got a mushroom. Anyways,
That's true.
This has been Game Points. Thank you all for showing up. And until next time, we're out of here.